So a bit about me, introduction. Then we start with our global solution for accounts payable and accounts receivable. Also, I have a slides in with our latest AI features for APRO. And then, of course, I will start with the actual demo. So this is me. My name is Peter. I'm working at APRO for almost a decade. I have more experience with Oracle already before. I started on Oracle Business Suite, then Oracle Cloud. I did a lot of projects. And since now I'm yeah, on the sales team. So a bit more about global e-invoicing and what it has to do with APRO as well. So first, a few facts about the invoicing. So what does it do? What are the core features? So it's standardized. It should be standardization. So we use the same formats for a group of countries already with Peppol. Also, there are some country-specific formats, but within that country, they all use the same format. Also, the processing of an XML invoice is standardization in general as well. It also could give a lot of automation if you have the right tools for it, like APRO to automatically match against POs, or if you have a non-PO XML to book it directly on your cost centers, or for example. Some of needs a digital signature, like in Italy, where you get a signature around the XML to make sure that it's secure and no one can open the invoice if it's not going to the right channels. It's also globally adopted, e-invoicing. You can see that already in Europe, where there are certain mandates coming up, like Belgium, also Germany, but also in France and Poland next year, where there will be several countries in Europe where you will have to send or receive XML invoices into your Oracle ERP system. Also, other countries like Latin America, Brazil, Mexico, Chile, they are all going to start with the invoicing, or some already have mandates over there. If you look at the business impact, yeah, it's pretty complex for each country. You could have different rules, different kind of sending and receiving. You would need a lot of dashboarding to see if you get an acknowledgement file back from the government if something is actually sent out correctly, if you send validated invoices to the government, yes or no. Of course, the interfacing with Oracle, which is a big thing to see because, of course, there are a lot of other tools that can help you with providing you a connection with the government or help you to send your invoices through Peppol. But what happens next? You also need to import it into your Oracle system on the payable side, and also you need to generate the right XML file to send over the Peppol network or government portals if you send to your customers. And what happens next? If something fails, is your user interface, etc. That's something I will show you during this webinar. And of course, it can give you automation, but again, have the right tool to do that automation. These are just all the countries that we support at the moment. So all the e-invoicing countries which are supported. So there are quite a lot already. I think most of them are now supported by APRO. So that means that, yeah, we can be a global e-invoicing solution for your company on Oracle e-Business Suite or Oracle Fusion. So what kind of different e-invoicing countries do you have? Like you can see already, some you send the invoice to the government and then the government sends it to your customer. Others, you send it to the government, you get a number back from the government, and that number needs to be placed within your XML to send it to your customer, which means that there are so many models at the moment that for each model, you have to find the right tool to be sure to adopt it for that different country. I can already tell you, we can adapt with all the models. So if it's government, even if it's not government, but only a Peppol network connection, we can handle those as well for you. A bit more about the APRO platform. So on the accounts payable side, we connect to email, which was like always to process PDF invoices into Oracle. And now also we have, of course, e-invoicing. We already did Peppol, and now together we also have government portal connections to also support those in those countries where that is needed. Like Italy, for example, where you need to send the invoices to the SDI platform, you will get an acknowledgement file back from the government if it's okay. If it's not okay, then you need to adjust indeed the XML file or your supplier master data to send the XML again. On the other side, yeah, we still import invoices like always. If it's PDF or XML, invoices will get PO matching or non-PO matching. They will get direct coding and they will be sent to your Oracle payables. On the accounts receivable side, we pick up all your information out of Oracle. So your AR transaction data, header line, and text details, they will be placed into the right XML format and will be sent to or a government portal or still email if that's also possible. A bit more about the accounts payable part. So we process the import of an XML file. Then we have our mapping ready for each single format that we receive. So that could be a PEPL format. It could also be a Factura PA format. It could also be a SUKVET from Germany. Once that is done, all the header and line details will be placed into the right fields. And then we check with Oracle what can we match. So we check if we can find a supplier site with all the header details or line details or text details. And if we can find the right PO, which is available in Oracle with the invoice lines that are next to it. Then we do the automatically matching. So PO lines will be matched against the invoice lines. And eventually, if the whole invoice is fully booked, it will be sent straight to your Oracle payables. If for some reason we could not match the whole PO with the invoice lines, then it goes to the user interface of APRO where you can enrich the document. So maybe there's something missing on the PO which could not be booked with the invoice lines, like maybe freight, which is not on the invoice, and you don't have the coding string within APRO, then you can add the freight and then it goes into Oracle anyway. Everything will be attached in Oracle, so you have the header, line details, tag details on Oracle, and eventually also all the right attachments like the XML and PDF documents directly in Oracle, automated by APRO. So you don't have to manually do anything in Oracle Payables anymore, but we basically replace Oracle Payables for booking your invoices. On the accounts receivable side, which is the other side of the process, is we pick up all the transaction data out of Oracle. We create the right XML file, and on the customer side level, we pick up some information like a send method, identifier, and what kind of XML APRO needs to create. So on your customer master data in Oracle, we create 3 attribute fields, and based on those attribute fields, we know what to do with that specific customer or transaction. So it could be that you have a transaction for the Italian government, but you could also have a transaction for PEPL in Belgium, and then both can be sent out directly with APRO to the right channel. A bit more about the AI features of APRO. So basically what we already have as right now, which will be released soon, is the PO matching agent. So what does this PO matching agent do? It automatically match invoice lines with the PO invoice lines. It's different than with the auto matching that we already have. The current auto matching is based on coding, and it's not based on databases with all kind of knowledge how to book a PO invoice with with the PO lines in Oracle. But what this exactly does, it already has the knowledge how to match, and it will do the match for you without doing any setup. Basically, it's already possible in APRO, but this will give you a 100% match with all your PO lines. So APRO will not miss a line. It will just book everything. All the invoice lines will be eventually booked against the PO line, which is available in Oracle. The next PO or the next AI agent, which will come in, is the coding agent. So for non-PO invoices. So this one, it will check the invoice. It will see, okay, this invoice doesn't have a PO, so it needs to be booked on a coding string. And also the coding agent will try to book the invoice on the right coding string. It will also do that with a big knowledge database, how to book an invoice without having any coding rules upfront. The customers that are already using imaging knows that now it works with accounting rules. So you really have to specify for each supplier side rules to say, okay, this invoice needs to be booked on this specific coding based on the words that we can find on an invoice. With this coding agent, you don't have to have any setup, but it's all based on knowledge, and it will use that knowledge to do the coding automatically. Other things that it will do, other agents will be the invoice approval agent, which means that it will give you a suggestion of who should approve the invoice. A reporting agent, for example, if something goes wrong with the invoice, you could get a report from that agent, or the importing is going wrong. You will get a message from the agent. It will check all kinds of processes within APRO to check is everything going okay within the tool. Also the recognition rates, it can check and it can send you out a message. Please check because the OCR recognition is dropping, for example. Next agents will be the fraud detection agent, so duplicates, invoices, same invoice amount or same invoices from a same period with same invoice amount from the same supplier side. It could give you messages like, okay, I still receive a lot of invoices from the same supplier, but is this even correct, yes or no? And the other one is, of course, the cash forecasting, to check eventually from all the invoices that you receive or sending out, what will this happen with my actually cash forecast? So how is my cash forecast in the next few months? I can also tell you a bit about the banking gateway, the bank reconciliation, which is now in APRO banking, that also will get an AI agent to do the bank reconciliation automatically without any rules. So that's a really big plus in the near future to get from APRO. Now we go to the demo. So let's open Oracle. So here we have Oracle, the main field. I will start with the receivable side. So let's go to the accounts receivable side. Here we have receivables billing. I'm going to check an invoice from today. So this is the accounts receivable side. You can see two invoices which are already created. They are completed. And also in the right mark, you can see the one is ready for ACS to send out. The other one is already done. So also in Oracle, you can check if an invoice is already sent out by APRO, yes or no. So if I pick an AR transaction, and this one will actually be sent over the PEPL network. So what I'm going to demonstrate in here is I'm going to create an AR transaction. It will be sent over the PEPL network. It will be delivered to the customer Shell, and Shell will also pick it up with APRO on the payable side to import it into Oracle payables. On the other side, I will process a SUKVET invoice. So this SUKVET invoice will be received by email. And then within this PDF file, because the SUKVET is a PDF file with an attached XML file, and that one will be processed in Oracle Payables as well. So let's go back to the actual demo. So here we have one that is done. If I create a duplicate out of this one, so APRO will eventually have a scheduled process to pick up new created transactions. The only thing what I need to change in here, I'm going to say generate bill no, because APRO will generate the PDF file, and I'm going to remove the status of this duplicate invoice, which I'm going to create. First, I'm going to click on save so that the text will be calculated as well. And then I'm going to stay on complete and review. And now this invoice or this transaction is ready to be picked up by APRO. And then what happens is that APRO picks up the AR transaction. It will use all the information, header line and text details to create the XML file. And once that is done, it will automatically send it over the PEPL network to Shell, and it will be delivered. So now I'm going to save and close. So a new transaction is generated, 85007, and we just have to wait until that one is picked up by APRO. So you can also see that there is no status yet because it's not picked up by APRO yet. So what we are going to do now, we are opening the APRO application itself. And this is the APRO application. So we start from scratch, and we have here the eInvoicing Outbound model of APRO. And here you can see the import overview. So we just created the run before I started the demo. I created the same run. So there will be a next run in a few minutes with this latest transaction. And below you can already see that it's finished, the other one that is created. And you can already see some information on how we are going to send this specific transaction. So this transaction number, it will be sent by Peppol. It's created and last updated like 2 hours ago or an hour ago. So if you click on search again, then a new run will appear eventually. And what you know is now that this transaction is fully sent out. If you want to know more about this transaction, how it was sent out and what are the steps that has been taken and everything is correctly created, you can go to the history tab. And from here, within the track and trace, you can follow each single process of this AR transaction. So here you can see that it's imported. It has a certain validation. If everything is correctly entered in Oracle, then it starts creating the XML file. There's a validation of the created XML file if it actually can be sent over the Peppol network. And last part is sending the transaction over the Peppol network to this specific customer. Here you can see the Peppol ID from that customer. It's also visible in here. So this is the identifier from Shell to send this invoice over the Peppol network. Also, the format which is created is visible in here. So basically everything is available. What I also would like to show you is, for example, from an Italian invoice, which is sent over by our message hub. So this is an invoice which has been sent out to the government portal, and it's also got an acknowledgement file back from the government that it's received. So what happens with these invoices? It's not sent by Peppol. It's picked up by our APRO message hub, AMH. And what you can see, it's tried to check each single time if something comes back from the government. Because what happens if you send out an invoice, an AR transaction to the government, you will not get an acknowledgement file back immediately after you have sent your invoices. With Peppol, it does. So it gives you in a millisecond if it's okay, yes or no. So that's why it already has the checkbox that it's actually sent out. But for government portals, it could take up to 24 hours before you receive something. Because here you can see on November 3rd, I send out something. And what happens eventually, a few hours later, I got the message that it's successfully received and it's already delivered at the government portal. How am I sure that it's actually received? We created an attachment file, and here you can see an acknowledgement file back from the government of Italy that it's actually received. You can also download these acknowledgement file, so you can actually see that it's received, and can also open these XML files from the government to check how that looks. So this is for one example where you will have a successful transfer to the government, and it always have then this particular message that it's actually received. If something goes wrong, for example, I have that example in here as well. I think it's, let me check. These are all done. So if something goes wrong, you have a workbench on the AR transaction level, and there you can see invoices which are or still waiting for a validation from the government portal, or something went wrong and you need to update the transaction until it's valid to be processed. So let's go back to the 1st of October. And here you can see one invoice which is still waiting until it could be processed. If I even go back a few days, then probably I have some more. Here you can see one invoice which is wrong. It could not be sent out. Also in here, you can see that it could not be sent for some reason. These could also not be sent probably because we got a message back that it was incorrect. This one is still waiting for acknowledgement file back. And this one, I believe this one is also still waiting. So if there is something wrong, you will get a message back. And here it's already, could not be created in APRO that we could create an XML file. So this is something where it already got stuck within the APRO phase until we could get any further. And these ones are sent to the government portal, but we still don't have a message back until they are actually received by the government portal. So if this takes too long, you will get a message as well that something is not okay. If we go back, because I just created the other invoice, here you can see that the other invoice that we just created is now also sent out. So that means that the invoice is now also sent to Shell. And because on the payable side, I can also receive these invoices because I'm going to pretend that I'm also going to be Shell. I'm now going to the payable side of APRO. And from here, you have the AP invoice automation. You have an import overview where you can connect to all the different kind of incoming sources that you can have for invoices. And there was just a run just a few minutes ago where we collected the invoice that we just created on the AR side. So this invoice is now waiting within APRO to be validated because it's not directly sent to Oracle, because else I cannot show you the user interface of APRO. So if we go to the workbench of APRO where invoices are waiting to be processed, then we can also check all your incoming invoices from one screen. So if I'm going to upload and check every invoice which are imported from a certain period, so for now, it will give me an overview from the 8th of October until the 22nd of October. It will give me all the invoices that we imported. For some, you can also see the status rejected. If an invoice is paid in Oracle, that will be visible as well. And you can also see if it's imported, you can also see the status of the Oracle approval process. So if it's approved or if it needs approval, etc. So if we go only for today, I'm going to check all the invoices which are imported for only which are today, then we will see that we will have our invoices from Shell already provided in our payable solution as well. So it made a connection to Peppol. It fetches all the Peppol invoices from Peppol. And from here, you can see that the transaction name is Peppol. So it's collected from Peppol. And now we have to check because it's waiting in a certain workbench within APRO to check, and it needs revalidation within APRO. So let's go back to the AP invoice automation. There we have an AP workbench where people can have a look on all the invoices that still needs approval. Here below, we have two invoices. It is a non-PO invoice, so it went to the work list non-PO. So if we go to the latest that we just created, we can see the invoice. On the right side, you can see the PDF file. It's collected out of the XML file. And here you can see the invoice. It has two non-PO lines. It already did the accounting for this particular invoice. So actually, the whole invoice is already booked and ready to be sent to Oracle. The only reason why it's not sent out is because it's not allowed to send straight to Oracle. So STP is not allowed, which means that by purpose, I kept it in the workbench. Else this invoice, it would be validated and sent to Oracle straight away. So if I click on validate, the invoice will be checked by APRO if it can actually be validated and sent to Oracle. So we run all the Oracle validation steps up front. So if an invoice cannot be sent out, it will be kept within the APRO worklist until you have all the right fields entered. So it could be a mandatory field on header level. It could be a non-mandatory field, but you would like to have it mandatory, like a UUID number for Peppol Malaysia or something like that that needs to be entered in Oracle. Then you can keep it in APRO until that is actually entered by the AP user or picked up by APRO directly from the XML file. You can see it goes straight to the oldest invoice now in line within the work list. So this is a different invoice. This is actually an OCR invoice, but that's not part of this, this demonstration. So I'm going to close this particular screen. And if I go back now to the invoice history screen, and I would look up all the invoices from today, then you can see one is now ready for interfacing, the other is still waiting for validation. So what will happen eventually, that if you click on refresh, this invoice will be imported into Oracle. What I also have is actually still a PDF invoice in here, but this PDF file has a XML file included in this PDF. So it's a German e-invoice, which will be sent over to an email account where APRO will pick it up. And then it will fetch it into APRO as well. This particular invoice has PO information, so that means the invoice will be automatically matched against a PO by APRO, and it will also be imported into APRO. If we check and refresh, you can see now that it's busy to send this particular PEPL invoice now to Oracle. And eventually, if it's in Oracle and APRO did all the cloning, then it's actually received in Oracle based on an API that is sent out to Oracle. If for some reason Oracle refuses the invoices, it is not stuck in any interface. It just flows back into our system where you can see the SOAP message from Oracle, why it was rejected and what you need to do to get it fixed. And also that helps that you don't lose any invoices between your tool and Oracle. So there will be always, the invoice will or always be in Oracle Payables, or it will sit into APRO. And that is, yeah, I think a right thing to do. So it will be not lost in some kind of interface between Oracle, so that at the end you lose invoices or you don't know what happened to the invoice. So it's always kept within APRO. As you can see, the status is done, and you can already see that it's now importing already a new file that we just sent over the email account. So it's already importing now this SUKVET. If I go to Oracle and I would look up this particular invoice in Oracle. So let's go to Oracle Payables. We only have 4 minutes left for this demo, but I think that will be enough for this particular invoice. So let's go to invoices and look up this particular invoice, which is just booked by APRO. This invoice is now available. And if we click on it, it's the supplier is APRO. It's booked. It has both the PDF from Shell and both the XML from PEPL. So you will be compliant also for the government if that will be in some cases at some countries. So everything is in your ERP system. It still has a hold because it needs approval by the approval process. It has all the lines. So all the lines are captured. It has all the accounting, and it will also have tax if you run the tax calculation. So eventually everything is booked within APRO. And if we go quickly back to APRO again, so let's go back to the solution. We go back, we see at the import overview that we picked up an email. You can also see the email, the SUKVET that we just imported, it's finished. So it's already available within the APRO workbench. Also this invoice, it's not straight into Oracle. Let's see why this invoice is not imported. It found the PO, so you can see the PO. You can also see that it's not picked up any OCR from the PDF invoice. And how you can also see it, because this has a different invoice number than the one on the XML file. That's always how I show that we pick actually XML data. And what also good to know is that we have PO information out of Oracle available. So this is a PO with one line. It has 10 million, and APRO created a partially match. So it just picked up the amount from the invoice to match against PO line 2. It created an automatically match. So the only reason why this is kept is because it's not allowed to send to Oracle. Again, click on validate and invoice is processed to Oracle. I could continue, and I think there are a lot of questions. I think because of the time we have left, we only have a minute. Those questions will be answered to you by a personal email because I rather would like to show you the demo and give you the answers later in an email. The other thing what I would like to show you as last is the AI assistant, where you can actually type in a question for APRO. If you, for example, would like to create a new user, then you can type in how to create a new user. Then it will give you the information out of our manual that is already in this AI tool, and it will give you all the steps to create a new user within APRO. So basically that means that you don't need our consultancy for that part. You can just look it up with our APRO assistant and you could create the user yourself. You can give all kinds of questions to this AI assistant, and it will give you hopefully the right answer to proceed. As you can see, it comes back with an answer. open setup, create user, and then you can start working on what kind of user you would like to create. If it needs to be an APRO imaging user, create APRO imaging user, then it will work with the previous question, and it will give you the information how to create an APRO imaging user. So that's the user to book AP invoices with APRO. So yeah, I think it's already a big plus. It will be released, I believe, in the next release. So this is all upcoming, and this is one of the first AI agents that is already available within APRO. As you can see, it gives you information that you need to create a new user, also that you need to add the imaging roles to that user, to the and what kind of work lists and what kind of business units. So it's really helping you to create the right user. I hope you liked the webinar and also our AI tools. This is just one of them, and others will follow soon. Thanks for today, and hopefully I will speak to you by email, or maybe I will meet you in a discovery call. Thank you.